Hello luxury watch lovers! In this channel I cover the background, fundamental design features and things to consider before buying your watch. If you have a luxury watch that you'd like me to cover, let me know in the comments below. In today's video, we're going to cover the Seiko SNA411 FlightMaster Chronograph. A budget-friendly quartz chronograph made especially for engineers and pilots. The model has black hands with an off-white dial. The vivid yellow on the second hand adds a splash of color with its built-in rotary slide rule, 60-minute chronograph, and analog alarm function. The SNA411 makes a perfect choice for people looking for a low-maintenance and feature-packed watch for flying or traveling. For those interested in aviation and beyond, the Seiko FlightMaster, reference SNA411 as the black-dialed variant, is an unpopular, hard-to-find tool watch. The Seiko FlightMaster is quartz-powered, in contrast to the majority of aviation watches, which date back to the days before the quartz crisis. The Seiko FlightMaster is a long-time favorite of those looking for the best Japanese brand to honor the Breitling Navitimer. It stands out on the wrist as the epitome of a tool watch and is a favorite among pilots and EMS personnel. The watch's bezel, which has a rotating flight computer, is an ingenious modification of the standard slide rule, a mathematical tool used throughout history by scientists and engineers to design nearly everything, including building rockets and sending astronauts to the moon. Although not being the first to utilize it, Seiko has done a good job of implementing it on this model. A slide rule is an essential piece of equipment for aircraft, since it allows quick calculations on the fly. Although it does require some practice to use, it can carry out a staggering variety of mathematical operations, from basic math to unit conversions. It's also quite difficult to resist the charming appeal of this long-gone mechanical calculator, even though the slide rule's demise was swift with the development of the digital pocket calculator in the 1970s. For admirers of the flight chronograph style, the FlightMaster is an immensely appealing sports watch due to the chronograph, alarm, and 200-meter water resistance. Apart from the evident connection to the Navitimer made by the slide rule, the SNA411 in black livery displays an uncanny resemblance to the Speedmaster Professional. Their minute and hour hands, as well as the arrow for the chronograph seconds, are nearly identical. But the Seiko FlightMaster deviates from any Omega Speedmaster due to its combination of functions and the face, bezel, and general watch design elevated to a higher level. Despite the two watches having several design aspects in common, the Seiko FlightMaster is a better and more capable watch than the Omega Speedmaster. Let's take a look at some of its design features. We're looking at a case size of 42mm and a thickness of 13mm. It has a lug-to-lug of 44mm and a lug width of 21mm. Regarding movement, it has a quartz battery-operated caliber 7T62 movement. Its black chronograph dial is protected by a hardlex crystal, and its dial has luminescent hands and markers. It has a water resistance of up to 200 meters. You can expect to pay a fabulous price of about $249 for this watch. Here are 4 things to consider before buying the Seiko SNA411 FlightMaster Chronograph. Starting with number 1, the case. The case design is basic yet sturdy, with a black chronograph dial encircled by a radially brushed case back and a plain, polished cylindrical barrel with short straight lugs. The crown and chronograph pushes, which protrude from the right side of the case, have a distinct screw-down design that allows the buttons to be held in either an open or closed position. Adjustments and computations are simple due to the bezel's smooth bidirectional motion and gripping sawtooth edge. It has a stainless steel case, so corrosion will not be an issue. So even if you drop the FlightMaster a few times, it won't get damaged as it is made of stainless steel. It has a 42mm case, which means that the unit is not too big or too small. It's also not very thick either. With a case thickness of 13mm, you may wear it comfortably without putting excessive strain on your wrists. Its range of bezel indents make it robust, while its huge buttons and crown catch your eye as well. The buttons weren't just put there for show, as they work its chronographs. And while we're talking about the crown, I must mention that it's grooved thoroughly, which helps the grip too. Moving onwards to number 2, the dial. This Seiko has an intense dial with a very distinct and eye-catching layout. The dial is quite interesting to look at due to its combination of raised and reflecting surfaces, a slightly dome-shaped crystal, and a moving cluster of sub-dials. The watch is also a little more sparkly in person than the photos would imply, making it the ideal choice for formal or business attire. The sloped interior bezel improves readability and adds a little more aesthetic appeal. The chapter ring stretches out onto the dial face itself. There are several rings, each serving a different purpose. The chronograph's minute counter is displayed on the top subdial, while the running seconds hand is displayed on the left subdial. The yellow-colored main second hand only moves while using the chronograph. The alarm is displayed on the bottom subdial. Additionally, it has a setting for changing time zones, which is really helpful when traveling. It is difficult to read the SNA411 from a distance, since these 3 subdials take up so much room in the dial center that there's no free space left at all. Some people may find the dial to be overly cluttered, but true Seiko FlightMaster admirers adore it as the work of art that it is, and lose themselves in its exquisite complexity. The hands are quite normal with lume applied on top of them. The markers are extremely small. They are merely a few tiny dots on the dial that are also applied with lume. This won't be a problem unless you are just starting out with analog watches. So, if this is your first time wearing a watch, or you currently wear a digital watch, you could find it difficult to read the time due to the small markers. You will still be able to tell the time in the dimmest settings because the circles are fully illuminated by Lumi-Bright. The reflective chrome that surrounds these round Lumi-Bright indices is reminiscent of the Rolex Submariner's origins. It serves as a reminder that in addition to being a pilot's watch, it is also a 200-meter dive watch which can be worn for all water activities, except scuba diving. Locking the chronograph pushes gives some extra water resistance. There is an easy-to-read date window at the 3 o'clock position that helps you keep track of the date. A slide rule bezel is featured, which is very useful for calculations and unit conversions. You would agree that it adds a cool design aspect whether you are a pilot or not. The crystal of the chronograph watch is made of hardlex, which is Seiko's version of mineral glass, and is a more scratch-resistant crystal. After all, it is designed to be shatter-resistant. The dial design on the Seiko FlightMaster SNA411 is so distinctive that you will either love it or hate it. It's quite busy and will disinterest a lot of people. However, those who are aware of the value of the little indications on the bezel and dial for pilots will undoubtedly appreciate what the Seiko SNA411 can do, and may even fall in love with this watch. Hopping across to number 3, the movement. The watch's quartz battery-powered caliber 7T62 movement is a trustworthy and renowned quartz Seiko chronograph movement that has an alarm dual-time complication at the 6 o'clock subdial, in addition to a sweeping chronograph seconds hand. Given that a quartz movement is so much more affordable, accurate, durable, and easy to repair than a mechanical one, many FlightMaster admirers deem it to be preferable. Additionally, as compared to other automatic counterparts, This allows owners to avoid the servicing fees that cost multiple FlightMasters a piece to perform. Long-time owners of the SNA411 observed accuracy of 1 to 2 seconds within 2 months, which is quite exceptional even for a quartz movement. And last but not least, number 4, the bracelet. With polished center links that match the case and highlight some of the other reflective accents on the dial, the steel band that comes with this watch leans more towards the dressy side of the spectrum. The SNA411's band is usually cited as the weakest link, as is typical of many less expensive Seiko watches. Therefore, be prepared to swap it out with a good brown or black leather strap. Unfortunately, the watch's low pricing is due to Seiko cutting corners on the band. But the good news is that it is actually a strap monster and will look 20 times better on one of your many NATO straps. Regarding the bracelet itself, the end links are solid, but the clasp is made of stamped steel rather than machined like nicer bracelets. Pilot and navigation watches have been around for a very long time, but incorporating a bit of that heritage with modern technology is the ideal fusion of tradition and innovation. Your new go-to timepiece will be the Seiko SNA411 FlightMaster watch, and people will notice it once you put it on. Now, that's not just because of its size, but due to the timeless and cozy look it presents. Although others would assume you paid far more for this watch than you actually did, it is well priced and will not empty your bank account. This watch is a great purchase for any aviation enthusiast, sport-minded individual, or watch collector. I've linked this watch below if you're one of these enthusiasts. And this wraps up my review of the Seiko SNA411 FlightMaster. Thank you for watching this video. Nothing helps my channel more than you watching until the very end. These videos do take a long time to make, but are a labor of love. If you enjoy this type of content, let me know in the comments what other watches you think deserve their own video. And remember, time is your greatest asset.